Hello, strangers. My name is Andy,
Yep, and I'm Mark.
and this is Strange Stuff Podcast.
Why is it you changed the thing? You've now got hero. What?
I'm a hero. What do
In
what do you
whose
want me to say?
mind? In whose mind are you a hero, I wonder?
I'll tell you who's not a hero. You.
Because
You've got one job. Turn up here on time once a week for one of your Swedish hours. And you cannot even manage to do that.
I was 6 minutes late.
It was 20 past the hour when you logged on or tried to log on.
I messaged you at 6 minutes past 10, 10 minutes late.
Yeah, but that's not really acceptable, is it? I mean, if it was a job interview and you were supposed to be there at 3:00 and you messaged at 5 to 3 and said, "Oh, I'm still in the pub having lunch. I'll be about 10 minutes late." That wouldn't look good.
And if I was having a job interview with you, there'd be bigger problems that I need to deal with other than punctuality. What time did you get up this morning?
Actually quite late. I got up at 8, but I didn't go to bed until 2. So,
Well, I got up at 7 and I've been working steadily ever since.
working. The life you live.
You can't imagine how much laundry I've done.
Oh, dear God. What, is the maid off this week?
Yeah. I'm having to take over.
Have you given Beulah some well-deserved time off?
Beulah? Ferris?
No, Beulah. Was it Beulah? Was the traditional maid name in sort of late 19th century southern states?
No idea.
I don't know.
Here's a quick tip for television viewers. I have a feeling it's a BBC production, the latest one of The Count of Monte Cristo. It's a really good story, that.
I saw that. It's actually in French.
Mo.
Oh, the bit I saw was, maybe it was just an excerpt.
I've seen 2 episodes out of 8. It was a great book.
Well, it's a classic. I mean,
It is
it's
a classic.
one of those that you read or you used to read at school. Now, of course, it's Mr. and Mr. Jones Adopt a Child. That's a classic these days.
Sort of. Yeah. I saw something on YouTube the other day. It was a comedian, and he was talking about, they're thinking of banning this, or I don't support this whole woke thing. I know you always go on about it, but
you say it doesn't even exist, but clearly it does because it's affecting you.
Well, it's not affecting me, but it was a funny story that he was comparing a song that they didn't like to be broadcast on the radio. Baby, It's Cold Outside. Baby, It's Cold Outside, because it's sort of aggressively wanting him to stay overnight with her, and that
it's rapey as fuck.
It's a bit rapey. And the number one at the time this was going off,
was it Cardi B?
Was some horrific, lick my pussy sort of lyrics.
No,
it was completely acceptable.
It was Cardi B, and the song was called Wet Ass Pussy.
So that actual song exists, does it?
Yes. Yes, my daughter tried to shock me by singing along to it in the car once.
I mean, that sort of thing is just...
Yeah, but that's empowering. If it was a man singing about a wet ass pussy, there would be prison involved. Fucking world we live in. Thank God Trump's going to blow it all up for us.
Well, he's not. He's already doing quite a good job, bearing in mind...
he's not even in the job yet, and he's already started talking about invading Canada.
And Greenland.
Yeah, but I mean, who doesn't want to invade Greenland?
Now, there's 2 ways of looking at this, but do you think that the fact that you have all of these terrible fires in LA,
Yeah.
do you think that's God? Not that I believe in God, but they do. Do you think it's their God punishing them for voting in someone like Trump?
No, it's an arsonist. They've arrested a guy.
I think one of the fires was started by an arsonist. I think the others are.
Well, I mean, it only takes one good one, doesn't it? Because they spread. I've got a friend who lives in LA,
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah.
yes.
Who
and
do you know
oh,
who lives?
fuck off! Do you think my life
Yes.
revolves around living in Sweden?
Yes.
I've
the
always
north
been
of
here.
Sweden.
Anyway, he actually lives in LA, but he's evacuated to San Francisco.
Okay.
And he said that basically orange trees, lemon trees, and palm trees were on fire, flying through the air, spreading the fire.
Is that right?
In the winds, the high winds that were.
Well, unfortunately, they're more high winds due now this evening or tonight, this morning in American time. So it could actually carry on.
Yeah, it's a very strange situation. I mean, there's a lot of flack in the press, or some people are giving these celebrities flack for starting various GoFundMes.
No. Well,
Yes.
GoFundMe to help other people, not
Yes, exactly. But they're misreading it. There was one, I can't remember who it was, but her brother-in-law and her sister-in-law or something lost everything, and they started a GoFundMe to help them rebuild, and she just promoted it and retweeted it or whatever. And she got into all sorts of fucking hate mail, people saying, why don't you help them out? I mean, God, I'm sure she probably has helped them out, but, you know, just because you have a few quid doesn't mean you have to be someone's insurance company.
I know you're a gamer and a bit of an internet, whatever, expert, sort of. Do
See,
you
I'm a hero.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't actually describe you as a hero, Andy, but so do you reckon all of these social media companies should be kept under control?
I think they should be shut down completely.
Oh, you do? All right, yeah, good.
I fucking hate them.
Yeah.
I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. Except the social media aspect, which gave us a bit of fan mail this week. And I just want a quick mention to Lucas in the United Kingdom.
Yes, that's right. I saw that.
Yeah, he sent us a little thing saying, you guys are great. Keep up the good work. When's the next episode? Well, and also he said, tell Mark he's posh twat.
He didn't write that.
I'm pretty certain he did. I haven't got it right in front of me.
Because I think I read it and I don't remember reading about a posh twat.
I'm pretty certain that's what he said.
Anyway, it's not that I'm posh, Andy. It's just that you're common.
Ah, see, he's going to come for you for that one. But, Lucas and everybody else, we're here every Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. We're on Spotify. We're on YouTube. We're on... That's it.
And the more encouragement we get from listeners, the more likely is that you actually do some sort of research and choose some sort of topic rather than this recent lazy approach to our production quality.
I had a quick flick through the almanac hanging in my toilet this morning, and I've come up with quite a nice little story for us today.
Hang on, I just want to review one thing. You can tell me if it's true or not. Right, now, I understand that you're not responsible for what your father does.
Well, technically, according to God, you are.
Well, all I'm suggesting is that people are affected by what their father does
if they know their father, because most people don't these days.
Well, a slight exaggeration, but I think Elon Musk knows who his father is.
Oh yeah, because he's always in the paper slagging Elon off.
So, do you know that Elon's father had 2 children by his adopted daughter?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. And
so you don't know if that's true or not? Because I'm trying to do some fact checking.
No,
here.
I don't. No, I don't. I mean, President Musk is an enigma into himself, isn't he, or unto himself?
Well, I think enigma is that's a bit kind, isn't it?
Well, it's a kind way of saying complete and utter fucktwat.
Yeah, but it's more that, and again that
And
downgrades the danger that he poses.
he doesn't really pose a danger. I mean, the thing
Well,
is,
what do you mean the British government are reviewing policy as a result of some completely misinformation-based tweet that he made?
yes, because they're fucking blinded by his wealth. These fucking parasites, these gold-grabbing motherfuckers think that power equals money.
Well, it does.
And anyone with money is obviously more intelligent than other people.
Well, no. There's no doubting that money means power. It doesn't mean intellect. Far from it. The number
No,
of
but that's the
complete
problem.
idiots
They're
who get
equating
wealthy.
it as well. They're equating it. They want to suck up to the gold-arsed billionaires just in case they get some crumbs from the table.
Well, what's interesting is poor old Farage. Oh, Nigel, I feel so sorry for you. He's out of line now for the 100 million. He's been knocked off the top shelf, and the one that Musk is supporting, or seems to be supporting, is this convicted criminal Tommy Robertson.
Yeah, I know. And
Jack Lemmon, or whatever his name is, Marxist Lenin, or that's his real name.
Trump is already fed up with Musk because Musk will not leave his house.
What is this that he won't leave? I saw some cartoon.
He's basically co-president in waiting, and Trump is getting fed up. He's like, I got this job, not both of us. And Musk is like, no, come on, man, we can do this together. We can run the world.
You remember that vacuous individual, Vance, is it, who is technically the vice president?
Nope.
Yeah, J.D. Vance, I think that's the one, who's literally never succeeded at anything he's ever done other than self-promotion and conning people into supporting him financially.
That's basically everybody in politics.
Well, hopefully not. I wonder how he feels now that he doesn't get a mention anymore. It's always Trump and Musk. He hasn't been mentioned.
Yeah, it's a comedy double act at the moment. And it is a comedy only because he hasn't even got the job yet. He's not even in office. And the stuff that's already coming out of his mouth and the stuff that's in the papers is comedy gold.
It is. I'll tell you what, we are so lucky that he's coming back into power. I honestly, I feel sorry for nearly half of the American population who didn't vote for him. Obviously, the people that did vote for him, good luck to you. You got him in. Let's see how he copes. But I wonder if he's going to simply buy Greenland from the Greenland people.
Well, perhaps the Greenland people don't want to be sold. Do you know that's been illegal in America since the 1850s?
Buying people. No, but the thing is, I reckon that Greenland, they get a lot of support from Denmark. But I don't think they like Denmark. They just get support from them. Because it's probably Denmark who's stopping them mining.
Yes, but, it's not a question. I mean, Greenland should be independent. Denmark is on the other side of the world. Let's put an end to all this imperialism. You can't just call the British imperialists and then own countries elsewhere in the world yourself.
Do you know how big Greenland is?
Yeah, it's fucking enormous.
I reckon it's bigger than in the United States.
This is why Trump wants it, because there's got to be minerals there.
Well, they know there's minerals there. They know it's mineral rich, but it's always been accepted that is a, what do you call it, a wildlife sanctuary sort of thing.
An area of natural beauty preservation, what's the name?
If it's true that 58,000 people is the population of Greenland, can you imagine only 58,000 people living on a landmass the size of America?
Yeah, the problem is if Trump buys the people off and gives them, let's say, $10 million each, you've just devalued the currency, because who's going to work in Greenland? They're all millionaires. Who's going to open the shops and run the fucking delivery system?
I wonder how many of them would stay. Let's say they all made the millionaires. What, 58,000 times by a million?
That's just the basic.
58 billion.
That's basically the cost of.
That's peanuts.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
And they would own Greenland.
You could finance a pandemic for less.
So I wonder what. I do know somebody who walked across Greenland.
What?
Yeah.
Was it a penguin?
Was
his name Pingu?
No, his name was God.
Pingu Pete.
No, I think his name was Phil.
Polar Bear Phil.
No, not Phil. No, anyway, I'll get his name in a sec. Jeremy. His name is Jeremy. And
I can't think of an alliterative.
No, he walked across Greenland, and I remember him saying that he lived in Denmark. He was Danish. Well, actually, he was English, but he lived in Denmark.
I was going to say Jeremy's not a very Danish name.
No, he had to leave a deposit. It was a bloody massive deposit, like 5,000 euros, with the Danish government in case he needed rescuing. I mean, he was with a group of people. He wasn't by himself, but they literally walked across Greenland with sledges and things.
Mm.
Oh, I don't think I would want to do that. No interest.
I mean, I can't walk to the end of my drive.
Can you imagine? You're right. You can't walk to the end of your drive when there's snow. Can you imagine walking across a country? Is it a continent? No, it's not a continent, is it, Greenland?
No, it's
just a bloody great big island. Yeah. Anyway, so that's going on. Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Nigel. Oh, poor Nigel. And what else is in the news?
Jimmy Carter died.
Yes. He seemed very well respected. I mean, everybody was talking positively about him, and he was 100 and he's dead president, so I'm not surprised.
Trump and Obama were seen giggling at the funeral.
They were, indeed, yes.
Which is pretty disrespectful. What,
you would prefer them to be in tears?
I would prefer that they did it away from the cameras. I mean,
sounds a bit dodgy.
Carter lived to 100. How many babies had to die to feed him that much blood?
Is it you who is it that thinks about that the Queen was a blood-sucking lizard and they literally drain? Well, she's dead now.
Is she?
That they drain babies' blood to feed these lizards. I mean,
of course they do. That's a given. Everyone accepts that now.
Everyone accepts that, do they?
Yeah. Anyway, to business. God. Come on. Talked enough nonsense.
What? It's going to get better, is it?
We're going to go to World War II.
Is this an actual story that you've researched, or is it some Reddit thing?
No, this is an actual story.
Oh, really? Okay, good. World War II.
And
1939-1945 European War.
Oh, well, you actually remember one date in 2.5 years of podcasting.
Actually, that's two dates, 1939 to 1945.
Well, it's one date. It's encompassing 2 periods.
Go for it.
Have you ever heard of Salon Kitty?
Oh, God.
And could you possibly guess
what it is?
What it might actually be?
Salon Kitty, sort of the first thing that jumps to my mind is some Parisian, what's French for brothel? Maison
d'amour.
Exactly, thank you. Love house. That's what immediately jumps to mind, but I'm sure it's not.
Well, kind of. Located behind the discreet 3rd-floor doors of a fashionable house at number 11, Geisbrechtstrasse.
So that's not Paris.
No, it is not. Madame Kitty's Pleasure Palace was for years frequented by Berlin's high society.
Berlin, really?
So it was a French kitty house, but in Berlin.
All right. And was Madame Kitty, was she Françoise?
I would imagine so. That would be the inference. Oh, with the outbreak of World War II...
Oh, sorry, what is strange about a brothel in Berlin?
Oh, the story is just great.
Oh, is it? All right, go for it.
with the outbreak of World War II, the brothel would assume a more insidious purpose. When it was taken over by the SD Security Service, which is basically the SS.
Is
under,
it?
The
SD security, that was basically the SS, was it?
Yeah.
What does SS stand for?
Super soldiers.
Special. I don't even want to look it up on my phone.
It's in German, so you wouldn't be able to understand it anyway.
Special is special in every language.
Is it?
Speciale.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. What are you saying?
Idiot. I am actually going to look it up. What does SS stand for?
Under the SS, headed at that time by the ruthless Nazi intelligence chief Reinhard Heydrich.
Yes.
Who used the elegant facilities and the ravishing beauties of the boudoir as a sex and secrets espionage operation to ensure that Hitler could stay one step ahead of his rivals and visiting foreign dignitaries. And this
so
it was
a high Schutzstaffel.
See, now you're talking nonsense.
No, that's what SS does stand for. Schutzstaffel. It was an elite guard. All right. Oh, I've got to delete that now, don't I? How do I do that?
Oh, dear.
Well, I don't want to get...
Now you're in a house with no children. You're buggered again, aren't you?
Oh, what do you mean? No, I don't have to worry anymore. I tell you what, clearing up child-proofing measures, it's taken me 3 hours just to...
Child-proofing measures? How are they going to learn if they don't hurt themselves?
What if they get electric?
Are you one of those who puts a crash helmet on when you take them to the playground?
No, but funnily enough, little Leo did have a special crash helmet.
Is that because of the shape of his upper-class deformed head?
No, luckily he has a perfectly formed little head. It was that I think the doctor said he was a bit, he was quick to crawl, but he had absolutely no idea of safety. And when they were going to Portugal, they had marble floors everywhere, obviously. And they thought it would be wise if he wore a little crash helmet.
Well, I'll give you a clue. Next time you go to Portugal, don't stay in a fucking palace.
It wasn't all apartments in Portugal have either stone or marble floors.
Yeah, of course they do.
You
Except
lived in Greece.
The poor quarters.
Don't pretend that you didn't live in Greece in a marble-floored apartment.
I used to go barefoot quite often in Greece, and I was sort of sprinting up these stairs from the bar in the hotel to my room, which were also made of marble. And I found, to my utter horror, that they have quite sharp edges.
Oh, really? You did yourself a mischief?
I sliced my big toe open quite badly.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But
and it's never recovered.
That's a story for another time.
All right. So, sorry, we're in Kitty's Pleasure Palace.
Yeah, and the operation of using this as a sex and spies thing was known as Operation Kitty, which is a very English name. And it was a plan.
Kitty isn't a slang word for...
Pussy.
It is
Kitty,
it?
Kitty cat, pussy. I mean, come on.
So this whole thing in Japan, Hello Kitty, isn't that what it's called, Hello Kitty?
Yeah, it's probably insidious. It's not as innocuous as it initially sounds. Nothing ever is. Sex sells.
Clearly. Anyway, so they do a bit of spying while they're having a little bit of entertainment, a bit of pleasuring.
Well, I mean, that's as old as the hills. It happens today. The honey trap is a well-trusted and well-used path to intelligence gathering. And this was a plan formulated by Walter Schellenberg, who was one of Heydrich's SD subordinates, and it would run from December 1940 until 1943, producing thousands of hours of illicit recordings. Luckily, they didn't have video in those days. Otherwise, we'd probably have to watch those on the History Channel. Some of which were intercepted by British intelligence who shared some of its most intimate secrets.
Really? So the Brits had access to the very information that the Germans were trying to get a hold of.
That's what espionage is. One-upmanship.
Pretty smart. You've got to accept, wherever you come from, the Brits are pretty smart.
Are they? By early 1939, Adolf had been planning further expansion of the Germanic Empire after his successful annexation of Austria in March 1938.
Oh, that's interesting. Austria was done in 38, was it? And Poland in 39.
Yeah, so, I don't know what the difference is between Austria and Poland that made people decide enough is enough.
When you say annexation, I can't remember. Does that mean that Austria didn't resist in any way? They just said, oh, come on in.
I think they basically said, oh, well, he is Austrian, so I suppose it's all right.
Oh, yeah.
He began making claims on the Sudetenland area of Czechoslovakia, which had...
Who are we talking about now? Adolf?
Adolf, yeah.
Yep.
Which had a predominantly ethnic German population. With a promise of no further territorial demands, the UK and France conceded this territory to Germany in the Munich Agreement, which was made against the wishes of the Czechoslovak government. So the UK and France just said, oh,
as is going to happen with Ukraine. Who was the idiot prime minister who signed this paper and came back?
I have in my hand a piece of paper.
Yeah, for truth. What was his name?
Was it Attlee?
No.
I can never remember.
Attlee came after Wilson. Who was the Winston Churchill?
It was the other one anyway. But despite his promises, as we know, Hitler had originally wished to secure all of Czechoslovakia. And in March 1939, the German army invaded the remainder of the Czech region and established the German Protectorate of Bohemia and Moravia. With German forces now on the border of Poland, the French-British alliance pledged support for Poland in the event of conflict. So, with war on the horizon, the feared head of the Nazi intelligence service, Reinhard Heydrich, began taking measures...
Neville Chamberlain.
Neville Chamberlain, yeah. Wanker. Proved me wrong. Changed my mind. Heydrich began taking measures to ensure plans for a Polish invasion were kept secret. Heydrich had been concerned for some time about careless security leaks in high places, and he believed it was essential to identify and eliminate any possible threats to national security. He tasked his subordinate, Walter Schellenberg, the cunning chief of the SD, the Nazi Central Security Organization, with ensuring such plans would remain of the utmost secrecy. Schellenberg believed the best way of rooting out such loose tongues was to conduct a passion test.
Did everybody have to go through this passion test?
I hope so, because that would be great.
You would queue up to go around twice.
Sorry, boys, I'd like to stay for another hour, but I've got a passion test in 20 minutes. I'll be back in 22. Tempting suspects to talk with wine and beautiful women. I mean, it'd work with me. I would spill my guts. It wouldn't take long.
No, 5 minutes.
Heydrich ordered him to infiltrate an exclusive brothel and to enlist girls who were willing to pass on any information they overheard.
That's a bit risky for the girls, though, wasn't it?
A lot of them fell by the wayside.
I'm thinking that to be called as traitors, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, they were collaborators, traitors.
Oh, if it was in Berlin. Oh,
it was in Berlin.
No, well, then they were probably German girls.
Were they?
I was thinking of.
Do you think they didn't have people trafficking in those days?
Probably, I don't know. Yeah, of course they did.
So Schellenberg wasn't a man to do things by halves.
Ooh, so what did he do?
He developed an ingenious idea for a surveillance blanket. Instead of using a brothel, he decided to take one over completely which would give the SD a greater measure of control over the whole operation and effectively make the SS pimps.
You'd have to be pretty bloody stupid to go to a brothel in Berlin
With the big SS sign on
S
the
sign
door.
on the outside and not think, hang on a second.
Special Security Services Super Soldiers Rest and Recuperation Center. Come in, please. Heil Hitler.
Oh, dear.
After a cursory search of brothels in Berlin, only one was suitable for Schellenberg's requirement. The task of taking it over rested in the fate of the owner, who was 57-year-old Kitty Schmidt.
Nice. That was her name. It was a brothel, and she was called Kitty Schmidt.
Well, her real name was Madame Catherine Zamet, and she had for years operated the most luxurious house of ill repute in the city. And her pension, and by pension I mean her apartment, or her
pension.
pension.
That's French, and they're in Berlin, so I don't know why I'm speaking with a French accent.
Well, you should hear my accent sometimes.
Yeah, it's always Cornish pirate. Anyway, carry on. So Kitty.
So Kitty's pension was frequented by the most influential and distinguished members of German society. Although her charges were high, her clients were happy to pay for the complete discretion that she provided up to now. She'd built her reputation on her regular clientele, who consisted of Gentile Jewish bankers and businessmen. However, with Hitler's rise to power, they were soon being replaced by the rough and ready brown shirts of the SA, the Hitler Youth.
SA, Hitler Youth?
Well, the brown shirts, they were the, it's German again. The brown shirts were Hitler's personal security detail, I guess. The police were no longer so obliging about letting her operate her venue with harassment, and Kitty began taking precautions. She started to transfer her takings to London through the Jewish refugees that she helped smuggle abroad. By 1939, she'd amassed several £1,000s deposited in British banks. And on the 28th of June, she left Berlin and made her way towards the German-Dutch border. However, Schellenberg's SD agents had tailed her from the capital, and she was soon picked up and taken to Gestapo headquarters at the dreaded Prinz Albrechtstrasse. And there, Schellenberg was waiting with a rather large folder which told her of the long list of crimes that she was guilty of. Helping Jews to escape the Reich, illegally transferring money abroad, illegally exchanging Reichsmarks, attempting to leave Germany without permission, and the use of a forged passport. Such charges would normally mean a death sentence or an open-ended term in a concentration camp, which amounted to pretty much the same thing.
But in her case...
Well, Schellenberg was prepared to be reasonable. And he said, if you do something for me, I may be able to do something for you. So after they did that,
how old was Kitty at this stage? She was 58
57.
Yeah.
So with no room to negotiate, Kitty agreed to his audacious plan. So she was ordered to hand over her brothel to the SD, ask for no explanation, and just do exactly as she was told. Now, frankly, when she left Berlin, they could have just taken it anyway.
Yeah.
But
maybe
they needed her as the figurehead.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So she was also required to sign an official secrets document, which would mean her death if she ever divulged even one word of what she knew. So they had her tied up pretty tightly.
Figuratively speaking.
And also for an extra couple of Reichmarks.
What do you think the going rate was in those days? Do you have that in your research?
It was 3 Deutschmarks 50 for sucky fucky $5.
All right.
How
so
would I know? I mean, that's more up your street. You would have been one of her customers.
I could have been one of her customers.
Yes, you were there.
In Berlin.
In 1939. So Schellenberg's plan involved using a hand-picked team of specially trained beauties. Now, I'd like to know who did the training and how do I apply for such a job?
Oh.
And they would file reports immediately after sex and secret sessions with high-ranking diplomats and officials. Now, in the event that anything slipped their minds, the rooms would also be bugged with listening devices so that another team of agents in the control room could overhear every word.
Can you imagine listening to that all day long?
Well, can you imagine if you're one of the girls and you forget a couple of sentences that they deem important and suddenly you become the victim?
Yeah.
Oh. Workmen were brought in to the brothel in the wealthy district of Berlin to give it a refurbishment. The interior of the house was gutted and rewired with microphones in every bedroom, corridor and lounge. Each of the 9 rooms were expanded and lavishly decorated to the highest standards. Specialists added a multi-core cable that extended along the guttering, down the drain pipe and into the bricked-off cellar. Because bear in mind, this is pretty basic.
Yep, no Wi-Fi in those days, no Bluetooth.
No, they had a 3-phase cable going down the side of the house with a satellite dish on the roof.
Yeah.
There were 5 monitoring desks in the cellar, each with 2 record turntables, which were installed, and they could record conversations from 10 rooms simultaneously on wax discs.
So they didn't even have magnetic tape in those days?
No.
Magnetic tape didn't come in until after the war?
Possibly, actually, they did have magnetic tape in 1939, but for some reason...
Need a hell of a lot of wax discs, that's for sure. How much can they record? 30 minutes?
Well, I mean, it's an LP, isn't it? So
yeah, but it's an old LP. It's a 78.
Room 7, please pause while we turn the record over. I have it on 45. How do I turn this to 33? You're making me lose my mind. In the meantime, SS Untersturmführer Karl Schwarz was tasked with finding girls to coax into becoming sex spies, which I would imagine was quite easy for the SS. Yes, sir. From now on, you work for us.
What was the name you used? Melissa?
Untersturmführer Karl Schwarz.
No, you said you the name of a girl, I thought you said.
No.
No? Oh, right, okay.
No, he was tasked with finding girls to coax into becoming sex spies.
Yeah, got that bit.
In order to fill the records with indiscreet words, Schwartz needed women he could trust with state secrets. So the Vice Squad of Berlin's criminal police conducted an unprecedented number of raids on brothels, nightclubs and street corners, in which hundreds of prostitutes were brought in, questioned, and then usually rejected as emotionally unreliable. I wonder what the interrogation consisted of.
So they've got these poor girls who are emotionally stable enough to relate the stories to the SS.
Well, they didn't just get these poor girls. They went through quite a rigorous interrogation and application process with the help of doctors, psychiatrists, language consultants, and university professors, some of whom were probably well known to the girls in the first place.
Exactly.
Schwartz was able, using his assets, to whittle his shortlist down from some 90 girls down to just 20 in 7 days of non-stop interrogation and testing.
So you got 20 girls working in a brothel with 9 rooms.
Yeah. So they're doing 12-hour shifts, I guess.
God, can you imagine it?
Now, these 20 ravishing beauties, and I wish I had pictures, were then taken to a sealed-off wing of the Officers' Academy at Sontholfen, and there they were put through a grueling 7-week course of unarmed combat, marksmanship, foreign and home politics, foreign languages. 7 weeks. Foreign languages. That would be my downfall.
They didn't have Duolingo in those days, that's for sure.
Economics and the use of codes and ciphers. They were required to memorize charts of military uniforms and decorations, and were given training by German radio interviewers who demonstrated how to solicit secrets from seemingly innocuous conversation. So there's an in for me. I could have been, I can teach these young gentlemen how to get stuff out of people because I am a professional interviewer. Yes, I am.
So when did these 20 girls start working? 1939,
No, by
did
March.
you say?
It was about March 1940 when everything was ready for the launch of what Schellenberg had now codenamed Operation Kitty.
Salon Kitty.
Madame Kitty was briefed by Schwartz inside her newly redecorated parlour and told to carry on as before. And he added, "Welcome all of your old customers. Keep on your existing girls, but every so often we will send along someone special. On no account, introduce him to one of your regular staff, but show him this album of 20 girls. When he makes his choice, phone for her. She will arrive in 10 minutes. You will not discuss the client with her, and she will leave immediately after the client has gone."
Aha, so these girls didn't have to service the ordinary punters.
No.
They were specific to what they were targeting.
And this is probably where the term call girl comes from.
Do you think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't see why not. It fits. I'm going with that. That is now a fact.
Call girls started with Salon Kitty in 1940.
Yes. Now, when Kitty inquired how she would recognize these special visitors, she was told they will use the code word, and it's actually a phrase. They will use the code word, "I come from Rottenburg."
But hang on a second. What? How did these special clients?
Yeah,
Why would they identify themselves as
because
special clients?
they would be recommended, because they are usually foreign dignitaries or diplomats. They would be recommended to Salon Kitty for a good time, and whoever was setting them up would say, "Oh, if you want special treatment, just tell them I come from Rothenburg."
Yeah. All right.
And of course, if you're going to get a discount or a VIP backstage pass, you're going to use the special phrase.
Yeah.
Now, with the recording turntables ready to record every word, sigh, and exclamation of delight, Schellenberg decided to test the system.
Oh.
Just 12 days later, a young SS officer on leave was sent to Pension Schmidt. Schwartz and his men tuned in as the unsuspecting young man began to talk about his home, family, and his devotion to the Führer. The girl proved she had learned her training well, and when she flattered his fighting spirit, he began bragging of his unit's imminent transfer, adding, "If you ask me, the Führer has his eye on Sweden." Schwartz was elated with the success of the eavesdropping, even if he did have to arrange a court-martial.
Oh, dear.
The poor little bastard. He's trying to impress the girlie, and then he ends up probably in front of a
Shot.
firing squad. The number of Rothenburg Lotharios was stepped up, and soon 20 girls began making love around the clock. Soon, the special guests were outnumbering the real customers, and the Gestapo was forced to send for extra food and drink when the satisfied visitors exhausted Kitty's ration supplies. Now, it gets a bit gnarly here. Throughout 1940, almost 10,000 people ascended the stairs to the third floor. And in 1 month alone, some 3,000 sex sessions went on record.
But hang on a second, I've got to work this out now.
It's a lot of customers per girl.
So in a month, 3,000.
3,000 divided by 20, 600.
What was
No,
that?
150.
It's 100 a day.
150.
Well, no, they work 7 days a week. I don't think they work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, do they?
Yeah,
So
maybe.
It's not that horrific, but it's 100 a day spread between 20 girls. That's 5 a day. Bloody hell, that's going for it, isn't it?
Sorry, I just got a...
What? What have you got to do?
I just got a blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, I just buggered it.
Oh, dear. That's not good.
I ordered Hannah's Christmas present before Christmas and it hasn't arrived. So I sent a question
To the supplier.
Estimated delivery, blah, 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 blah. We understand, blah, blah, blah. Oh, it was an automated response. Bloody hell. Okay, so, yeah. The SD
10,000, 3,000 in a month.
Yeah, so the SD listeners were amazed one night when Italy's foreign minister, Count Galeazzo Ciano, began a drunken tirade about Hitler's shortcomings as a statesman, soldier, and lover. Well, that's a dangerous place to be talking about Hitler's single nut.
In Berlin.
Hitler has only got one ball. When Schwartz forwarded a copy of this transcript to Hitler, relations between these two countries were never quite the same again. Hitler took it quite personally, which is how Italy became involved in the war. They called me small dick. This will not do.
Why has he suddenly turned into an Indian restaurant owner?
No, that was a German offended accent.
It was definitely an Indian.
Well, he might have had a bit of Indian in him.
Let's hope not.
Now, in September 1940, Schellenberg himself took over the earphones when the Nazi foreign minister Joachim von Ribbentrop arrived at the House Black, we're going to call it now, because I'm fed up saying Pension Schmidt. Oh, House Smith, now it's called. With his Spanish opposite number, Don Ramon Serrano Suna, who's not Italian, but he had an Italian mother. And he overheard a bizarre Spanish plan to occupy Gibraltar. And he wanted SS Chief Heinrich Himmler, he warned SS Chief Heinrich Himmler in time to counter it. The Nazi propagandist Joseph Goebbels was a regular client, and he was said to enjoy lesbian displays.
Who doesn't?
Exactly. I mean...
What's weird about that?
Some of my favourite films.
Oh, God.
Which would have been considered antisocial acts under Nazi policy.
Is that right?
Yeah. Oh, they were very
Homosexuality
puritanical. They were very puritanical, the Nazis. Publicly. at least.
Hmm.
Privately, of course, it's a bit like the Roman Catholic Church.
Indeed.
Another visitor was SS Major General Sepp Dietrich, the commander of Hitler's personal bodyguard. Although he didn't actually drop any secrets, he caused problems of a different type when he demanded all 20 girls for a party. There's a man after my own heart.
Oh, dear.
Schwartz gathered together as many as he could, and Dietrich amazed listeners with his stamina. Only once did the code word fail. When a soldier arrived, who really was from the town of Rothenburg,
God.
and the only time the recording and listening equipment was turned off was during Heydrich's increasingly frequent tours of inspection. Quote marks in the air for those of you who are not watching this on YouTube. Alfred Naujoks was one of Heydrich's jack-of-all-trades who was involved in the numerous clandestine SD operations, and he was in charge of the whole wire network, as well as the monitoring, recording and transcription of all the illicit conversations and pillow talk at Salon Kitty. Heydrich was known as a sexual deviant and libertine, and he would visit the luxurious establishment from time to time for what he called routine checkups. During these sessions, the order was clear: turn off all microphones. However, one night, Heydrich arrived there particularly drunk, and Naujoks decided to forget to turn off the listening equipment in the room where Heydrich was being entertained. And Naujoks and the other SD men present shared a good laugh and then erased the tape. The next morning, he was summoned to Heydrich's office and told simply, "Naujoks, if you think you can make fun of me, think again. Get out." Now, even amongst the Salon Kitty SD personnel, Heydrich had his own spies. So that's how he knew that the microphones had been activated. Whenever an SD agent knew too much or was involved in too many top secret operations, Heydrich made sure to always get rid of them at some point. And I'm not entirely certain what get rid of them means.
Send them off to the front.
Yeah, it's a way of putting them in front of the firing squad without putting them in front of the firing squad.
Indeed. I want to know what happened to Madame Kitty.
Well, hang on. We're still going to talk about these guys that he got rid of. It's been claimed that everyone involved in the Reichstag fire...
What? What fire? What?
We'll get into it. Had all mysteriously disappeared or had died in suspicious accidents. The Reichstag fire is like the encompassing phrase for what happened to the people who worked for Heydrich.
Right.
So they either disappeared or died in suspicious accidents. Many of his subordinates have been reassigned to other positions, men like Hermann Behrens, Werner Best, Herbert Melbourne, and eventually Alfred Naujoks. Several months after the incident at Salon Kitty's, Naujoks was sent to a Waffen-SS battalion on the Russian front with
Doesn't sound good.
With a letter written by Heydrich to the SS commander. "I hereby send you soldier Alfred Naujoks, who is a brilliant fighter, full of aggressive motivation, and should, of course, be appointed at the very front lines." Naujoks would never see combat, however, because of Hitler's order that any member of the SS who possessed top secret information should not be placed on the front lines, for fear that he should fall into enemy hands. So Heydrich was thwarted, and Naujoks was saved from certain death. Towards the end of 1940, the Germans weren't the only people listening in at Madame Kitty's.
This is where it gets interesting. Good old Brits.
Yep, the British spy Roger Wilson,
Good man.
top chap, who assumed... Oh, my phone's going off again. Who assumed the persona of Lyubo Kolchev, a junior press secretary at the Romanian embassy, and he had accidentally stumbled across the operation when he noticed some wires as he wandered Glesbrechtstrasse. On the day, SS Untersturmführer Schwarz had been supervising the rerouting of cables from the number 11 cellar to a new recording post at SD headquarters in Meinekstrasse, when he automatically reached out to prevent Wilson from falling. Unbeknownst to Schwartz, Wilson had heard rumours of the Rothenburg stories going around the embassy, and when he saw SD men in civilian clothes pretending to be workmen, as well as the multi-core cables in the drain pipes, he knew that these stories were true. He was ordered by London to observe the salon without rousing suspicion, so Wilson soon became a regular client. It was his duty, don't you know?
Exactly. Taking one for king and country.
Taking several. All 20, in fact. It was soon decided to send a communications expert, me sir, to fix the wiretaps on 3 of the wires in the cable so that MI6 were able to listen in. From December 40 until 43, when Operation Kitty was actually closed down, Britain and the Allies would share some of its most intimate secrets. However, the heyday of the Salon was long gone, and devastating bombing raids had vastly reduced the number of visitors. Heydrich began using the eavesdropping network to settle old scores with his rivals in the Nazi hierarchy, and why wouldn't you if you've got that power? It's a bit like Hoover with the FBI. And discipline amongst the girls was becoming more and more lax, with the 20 sex spies often staying on at the bordello for strictly forbidden drinks parties. In September 1941, Heydrich had been appointed acting Reich Protector of Bohemia and Moravia, where he would govern harshly over the Czechs, which would earn him the title of the Butcher of Prague.
God.
The operation remained in the hands of Schellenberg, who continued to report to his boss Heydrich. In May 1942, the Butcher was severely wounded in an assassination attempt by British-trained Czech agents. Despite adequate medical care, Heydrich slipped into a coma from which he never regained consciousness, and he died on June the 4th. The autopsy concluded he'd died from sepsis, the result of his wounds. In July 42, a bomb landed on Kitty's Pleasure Palace, obliterating 2 floors of the building and scattering her elegant furniture and fine tapestries all over Glesbrechtstrasse. Schwartz immediately assembled a cordon of soldiers around the street and removed any incriminating evidence of the bugging operation. He then set Kitty up in the undamaged ground floor of the building. A year after his death, Heydrich's role as the head of the Reich Main Security Office was assumed by Dr. Ernst Kaltenbrunner, who held a particular distaste for Schellenberg. And by 1943, the operation was over and the SD handed the house back to Kitty, whilst most of the beautiful agents decided to stay with her.
What?
Kitty was forced to sign another pledge in which she agreed to reveal nothing of what went on at Kitty's salon. And Kitty kept that promise until her death in 1954 at the age of 71. And the man behind the Great Deception, Walter Schellenberg, was arrested by the Allies in 1945 and was given the task of running Soho. Okay, I made that bit up. He would testify against the SS and Nazi leaders at the Nuremberg trials. On November 4th, 1949, he was sentenced to 6 years for his role in Operation Zeppelin, in which Soviet prisoners of war were used as agents for espionage and sabotage missions. Zeppelin agents who returned after the completion of their assignments were executed by order of Schellenberg. So they were basically given a job to do, and when they did it, they got shot. The Allies were unable to get their hands on the 25,000 wax disc recordings during the operation. These vanished from the files at the Gestapo headquarters when the Soviets entered the rubble-filled streets of Hitler's capital. The existence of the discs is disputed. However, they were seen once by author Peter Norden in a top-secret archive at the headquarters of the East German State Security Services in East Berlin in 1963. The current whereabouts of these discs is unknown, but they are quite likely to have been destroyed. And that is the end of our story of Salon Kitty and the Kitty's part of World War II.
Well, as you know, I'm pleased that Madame Schmidt survived the ordeal.
What a great story.
I wonder if there was probably more of them. I'm surprised they didn't start a franchise of spying salons.
Well, there was probably a very similar setup at the Moulin Rouge.
Exactly.
In Gay Paris.
Exactly.
I mean, imagine signing up to the army and finding yourself in charge of 20 very, very accommodating, beautiful young ladies for the duration of the war. Oh, what was the war like for you? Oh, fucking hell, it was terrible, terrible. I'm
surprised
nearly lost a nut.
I'm surprised that none of the girls wrote books about their escapades.
They would have been shot, clearly.
Oh, of course, that's right. They all have to sign these non-disclosure agreements.
But yeah, that was the role of
World War
Salon Kitty.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that was a entertaining story, that one, Andy. Yes. And I'm very pleased you didn't have to rely on Reddit again this week. I think. So what prompted you towards that little story?
Actually, it was Richard who suggested it.
All right.
We did a recording for Murdery Bits yesterday or Friday, and he came across this, but it wasn't gory, so he said it might suffice for one of our episodes.
Excellent. Well done. Yeah. Good on you,
well done, Richard. And if you're interested, by the way, if you go over to patreon.com, Strange Stuff Podcast, you'll find the episodes I do with the Murdery Bits with Richard. There are quite a few free episodes there at the moment. And if you become a Patreon for the price of a coffee or the price of a beer, you can listen to all of them. And there are some good ones in there, I can tell you.
Well done. Good. So, am I around next Sunday? Yep, I'm around next Sunday. I've got visitors, but just one.
Anyone? Is it a special agent type visitor?
Could be. Mike, my mate Mike.
Oh, is it Mike again?
He doesn't qualify as a special agent.
No, he doesn't qualify as anything. Telling me he needs to subscribe. I'm fed up with people with too much money not giving us any of it.
What? Poor old Mike doesn't have too much money anymore. He's just getting divorced. But I've got the gang coming across this week.
Have you?
So I've just had a house full of guests for 6 weeks. I have 5 days off and then another gang arrive.
Oh. Well, make the most of it.
Indeed. Yep.
Okay, well, thanks for listening.
Then, Andy. Yep.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Don't forget, if you want to know when our next episode is coming, and I'm talking to you, Lucas, like, subscribe, follow. Check out our Facebook page, Strange Stuff Podcast, whatever it is, and keep in touch. And if you go to Berlin, keep a lookout for Salon Kitty, but don't let slip any state secrets, because you will be found out. See you next week.
Cheerio for now.